Well, Prima, we survived the longest January recorded. It was a heavy month, emotionally, socially, very, very busy. And given that we were constantly on the go this month, I have a question for you, Prima. When you are at your busiest or at a particular stressful time period, do you gravitate more towards your hobbies or do you put them on the back burner?
Gosh, this is one of the things where I don't do as I preach. I always preach for people to move their bodies, to listen to their bodies. And when it comes to me, I do not. I put my hobbies in the back burner.
On today's episode, we are talking about our hobbies. And we specifically want to answer this question of whether or not hobbies are for brown people. And so with that, welcome to your favorite podcast hosted by your favorite primas. I am your co-host, Jack, and I am joined by my prima.
Hi, everyone. My name is Andrea, and welcome to our podcast, Ponle Acento. So, prima, yes, hobbies are so difficult. Why don't we start with the question of what are our hobbies to begin with? What are yours?
So for me, reading has been a really big hobby. Since high school, I've always loved reading books. I'm sure friends or people from high school who are listening in probably saw me multiple times holding a book, walking to class, reading something new. And lately, before I started to really dedicate myself to horse riding, I was swimming as well. And I actually took that on in Cornell when I was doing my graduate studies. So swimming has been really helpful, especially when my body is just physically drained. I feel that just being in the water, sometimes just floating for a couple of minutes is really relaxing. And those I would say are my three main hobbies.
I love it. Nice and simple. Maybe you want to get into swimming at some point. I actually learned how to swim at a really late age. I think I was in high school when I learned how to swim, and I learned how to do it on my own because my tia had a pool and it was really exciting. But I think for the most part, my hobbies have been pretty straightforward always. They have been running. I love to run. I love to do CrossFit, but I've also done a few dance courses too. I have done salsa, bachata, heels classes, which have always been my favorite. I've done yoga and cycling. I really love to give my body some physical activity, but sometimes it's hard. And I think that a lot of people can relate to the difficulty of leaning into your hobbies, especially our Latinx friends. And maybe this applies to other cultures. When we were raised with maybe the notion that if it's not productive, then why are we doing it, right? So we want to only be productive and we want to make sure that it is either bringing money or helping the family. And so that has always been a little bit of a struggle. And, for as much as I love my parents, I think that they too have grown up in this journey of hobbies and learning how to appreciate them. In December, so just a few months ago, my parents came with me to my very first long run. I ran the California International Marathon, which happens in Sacramento. And for those of you who maybe have never seen it or have never ran it, it's glorious because it's all downhill. You start in Folsom, and so you're actually running all the way through downhill. And so because you're running downhill, my socks actually ended up ripping, like my toes ended up making a hole. And so I wasn't even past the halfway point. Like I was, I think in mile 11 when I saw my family and I had to quickly change my socks. And so at that point, my legs were like no longer feeling it anymore because they were just surviving and doing what they need to do. But I remember that like my mom, God bless my mom. She is awesome. And if y'all know Anna, she is really cool. But she looks at me so worried and looks at my toes sticking out of my socks. And she says, mija, ya corriste mucho, así está bien, ya así está bien. And she wanted me to stop. And I'm like, no, mom, this is not the point. You have to, you have to do it. All the training that you do. So it's interesting. And so I think that I've come a long way with my parents and understanding hobbies, pasatiempos, but I think that there is still a little ways to go. What has your experience been, Prima, with hobbies and maybe family members or parents? What has that been like?
When it has come to reading, thankfully, I think my mom has realized since I was very little that I love school. I love learning, and I was always really great at it. So whenever I wanted to get new books, she would always buy me the one book because growing up low income, right? I obviously couldn't get all the books I wanted. So it was a very few times that my mom had the ability to take me to Barnes and Nobles, or for those who remember Borders,
Yes.
Borders was my go-to. So thankfully, she has always been very supportive. When it comes to swimming, I believe I had started to swim back in high school for a bit. And then I stopped. It wasn't until I was living in LA a couple years ago. And I took a dive into the ocean. And I would call my mom and she would ask me, what are you doing today? What are your plans? Oh, I'm just going to go swim at the beach. Oh, that's so dangerous. Oh, but mija, ten mucho cuidado y no te vayas a ir tan adentro del agua porque luego te hundes. So, yeah, those have just been, comments, but I think her as a mom, she has the right to be a little worried. And I always put myself in her shoes because I helped raise my brother who's 8 years younger than me. So I always give my mom grace because when my brother walks somewhere, I'm always like, be careful and siempre lo persino antes de que salga. So I put myself in her shoes. I always choose a place where there's a lot of people just in case I need help. So I try to be very careful about these things. But I always assure her, like, yes, mom, I'm right here. There's people everywhere. And then when it comes to horse riding, I started recently. I think that has been the easiest, but it's because I am with my uncles. And it's actually a really sweet thing because they grew up in Mexico. They learned from our grandpa. And now they're teaching me, and knowing that my mom used to horse ride back in Mexico, for me, it's something very special. So that one has just been easy because it's been passed down to our uncles.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. And I always like to say that whenever, because this is how I feel about cooking, because cooking is also one of my hobbies too. But it reminded me when you were talking about the horse riding that there are hobbies, or in my case, cooking, where we are able to kind of keep spirits alive. And I think of, our abuelito and how you are horse riding and my uncles are teaching you what he taught them. And it's beautiful because what our grandfather, our abuelito who has since passed, what he taught in this world has not died yet. And I just think that that is so beautiful. But you also bring up a really important point in terms of like the swimming and being mindful of your surroundings, because I often feel the same whenever I'm running, right? And I think that brings up the conversation of intersectionality. Not only are we battling the conversations of the hobby is good for me with our cultural background of being Latinas, but also that intersectionality of we are women. And so we are women presenting. And so safety is always part of that conversation. So I guess my next question for you and for us to reflect is, what other cultural expectations may make it a little bit more difficult for brown people to engage in hobbies? What has been your experience?
Yeah, I remember there was a time where I was at the beach and there's a couple of people, but they were all pretty far apart. We had our own space and I was minding my business and a man walked up to me and just started to converse with me. And I was literally looking around for help, like, someone please come do something. And this man would not leave. And so it got to the point where I am the type of person que no me dejo. And in that moment, I didn't do that. I actually froze for a second and thought, is the best thing to just leave or to fight back? And unfortunately, the answer was leave and prioritize my safety. So safety has always been at the top of my mind. And me being living in LA for so many years, that's probably also why I gave my mom all this grace of her always giving me this speech, right? Of ten cuidado, no vayas sola. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And at first too, I would be annoyed and I'd be like, yes, mom, I know, I know, I know. And then once these things started happening, I was like, yes, mom, I will. Unfortunately, that's just the reality of it. And I think that's why I am very detail oriented, is because everywhere I go, I am always looking at my surroundings. And now that I've gone through the university, I've learned more about diversity, equity, inclusion. Every time I'm in a space, I always look around and think, is this a safe space? Like, are my people here? And unfortunately, sometimes with these hobbies, the answer is no.
Absolutely. It's so difficult. I think that a lot of the times we have all of these expectations at home before we are able to go outside and do our hobbies. The examples that I'm going to give, I don't mean to normalize them because cooking and cleaning is a life skill, not a gender role. But if we're talking about how cultures impact our hobbies, then we need to be realistic when we think that most of the time our women that are wanting to go out and do a hobby, whatever that may be, they are first thinking, hay comida en la casa, ya se bañó el niño, ya se peinó la niña, whatever that is. And then we come next. And so we already struggle through that portion of it to even go outside the door to do the said hobby. And then now on top of that, we have to figure out safety and we have to figure out, is this a space really for me? In my runs, it has always been dominated by white individuals. I mean, there's no debate about it. That's what it is. Actually, when I ran CIM, the California International Marathon, me and my friend, who is also a person of color, we were the only, I think there was 3 other Black males, but within the group of maybe like 50 people that were with our pacer, we were the only people of color. Like, you could count us with one hand. And it really makes me think, like, are we not out participating in these hobbies because we don't have the support that maybe other cultures do? Is it that cultural expectation? What is it? And I know that our guest coming up soon here, maybe will give us a little bit more insight of, how they manage creating their own community, which I think is very, very important. Well, Prima, we know that hobbies are super important because in our last episode, we talked about best practices to really help us come out of fight or flight. And I would say that this is another practice. So if, an extension of our previous episode. And so it is important for us to move our bodies because hobbies have been shown through research that they help us so much. And I'm going to say the next part in Spanish because I really want our family members, our parents, grandparents, tíos, tías, to really know why pasatiempos, why hobbies are so important there. La Universidad de Harvard, la Escuela de Medicina, publicó un estudio donde se le hizo una encuesta a 93,000 personas a través de 6 diferentes países. Y estas preguntas que les hicieron en las encuestas eran para personas mayores de 65 años. Y se les hizo la pregunta, ¿tienen algún pasatiempo? Y después de que contestaron sí o no, a los que contestaron sí, la segunda parte era, su pasatiempo involucra actividad física, creatividad, a lo mejor están siendo voluntarios. Entonces, los resultados demostraron que las personas que contestaron sí tengo un pasatiempo y sí mi pasatiempo involucra lo que acabo de decir, ellos tenían mejor salud física y mentalmente. Ellos también estaban demostrando que los efectos de demencia no estaban pasando, más bien estaban delayed. How do you say delayed in Spanish?
Retrasados.
Entonces, cuando nosotros digamos, tengo un pasatiempo, hay que recordarnos que no es ser egoísta, no es ser que solamente estamos pensando en nosotros y no en nuestras familias. Sus familias los quieren demasiado para que usted tenga buena salud. Entonces es algo que usted está haciendo para usted y algo que también le está enseñando a su familia a hacer. So, los pasatiempos no son cosas egoístas, son medicina para nuestro cuerpo.
Right on. Thank you so much for that, Prima. That's amazing. And I hope our tias and our tios can listen in and, really start to take initiatives and have some time for themselves too. They're just as important as everybody else. And when they're doing great and they're healthy, the whole family's healthy and, we're all good.
I love it. So, Prima, why don't you introduce our guest speakers here?
So we are so excited to have these very two special guests joining us today. They are two sisters on a journey to promote running as a form of self-care. They are also from the Central Valley here in California and are also children of immigrants. So we are very excited to have them on here today. And without any further ado, we are introducing Lasley and Yaneli from the Sisters Run Club.
Hello, everyone. Hi, everyone. We're so excited to be here.
Thank you so much for joining us today. We're very excited to hear from both of you and hear from this amazing journey of you all creating the Sister Run Club. So we first wanted to give you the space to be able to introduce yourselves, why you started it, or anything else you would like to share.
My name is Lasley. I'm the oldest of the little duo. I would say the main thing for me wanting to start a running club would be to run with other women that share the same interests and, running with my best friend, my sister, that motivates me. So continuing to open that space for others to feel welcome and safe.
Hi, everyone. I'm Yaneli. I'm the second oldest of the sisters. But like my sister said, I think the main thing was building that bond with my sister. And we've always done everything together. And so I think that this step was kind of like something that we wanted to share with others and share our love and just making sure everybody is safe and welcomed. And I think my favorite part so far has been just meeting so many people and creating so many friendships and just finding out so much about our small community.
Thank you so much for your answer, Janelle. I appreciate both the vulnerability that both the sisters have given us today and for making the time to be here. I am also a runner. So lastly, when you say it's important to kind of feel that safety when you're running, especially as a young woman, it is a real struggle. And Yaneli, I can definitely relate to when you say wanting to have that community. So my next question is for both of you. How did you come to find out that you like to run?
So I found out when COVID started because I didn't have much to do. All the gyms were basically closed. That was our only way to kind of have some fun. So we started off, me and my sister, running around our community. And we started with 1 mile. And let me tell you, that 1 mile, we would stop and my ankles were hurting. But we would do it every day. And little by little, we would increase our mileage. And I was just like, oh my God, I really enjoy this. And so after COVID, I tried to stick with it, but life happened. I was going to school. So I would still run here and there, but it wasn't as much as we were running during COVID where we would run every day and we were together. So it was easier to have a partner tell you, come on, let's go, rather than being alone. And then I had one of my friends tell me, let's sign up for a half marathon. And I was like, you know what? Let's do it. I ran, the most I have ran, I think was 5 miles at that point, but I was like, for it. And just during that training, I really enjoyed it. And I was able to tell myself wow, I'm actually good. I could keep going. And once I did that half marathon, I was just so proud of myself because I used to hate running. I tried that far. So just knowing that now at this age, I think I was around 23, I was able to do all of that. And I was like, I could do it, and I had so much fun. The atmosphere was great. And I can't see myself not running now. And now every day I run.
What about you, Lasley?
Okay, so my journey has been here for a long time. I started in high school. So that was 2010. that I joined cross country. And with me, it was, kind of the same. I didn't really do anything. And it's crazy because we're PE teachers and, it's all about sports, but that's what I kind of wanted to change. It's not all about sports. It's about what you do physically and how you're going to stay motivated for the rest of your life. So for me, it started with running. It was really hard to get used to it because when you join a sport in high school, you take it serious, but not as serious. I can't believe that I used to run the way because I think I would run in my Vans and I wouldn't really care for like my outfit. And that makes such a big difference because you need the correct shoes. So I remember I would get shin splints and it was painful. I would get home and be like, oh my gosh, it's hard, but I liked it. I liked running with my friends and going to the races. It was really enjoyable. So I started from there, but going into college, I kind of wanted to try different things. I tried CrossFit and little by little, I kept trying new things, but I kept coming back to running. So I really enjoyed that. And I tried to get my sister into it, but it was a little hard when COVID hit. Like she said, that's when we just got more into it since it was the only thing we could do. And running together, that just made it that much motivating and a lot safer as well. So we kind of started there. How we started the club, I would say it was because of Yaneli, how she said she ran her first marathon and that motivated me after just having a baby to getting back to it and going on runs with the baby. And my sister would come and join me just so I could get a run in and she'd be like, you could do it. It's okay. It doesn't matter how slow you go. So that just kept me going. And she invited me to my first race, which was a 5K, 3 miles. And I mean, it was a lot because I wasn't running that much. And slowly we started running and I got excited. And my sister was so inspiring. So I started posting everything on Instagram and other friends started to reach out that they wanted to run with us. So we kind of just started there. We said, let's make an Instagram so we could make everything public and we could share with our community. And it blew up. As long as our friends are there and they join us and they know what we're doing, that's okay. But then it happened to be a big thing and we're like, okay, now what do we do? Like we have to help these people. So we're really excited to be here.
Thank you so much. Our next question is about what the impact has been in the community from what you've seen. Has there been an increase in the diversity of people that are joining you? Or how does it feel just to be within La Comunidad and to have the safe space for women as well to be able to join and have the space?
So I've noticed that we've been getting a lot of people our age. So it's been very welcoming to, have that safe space where young girls are coming and they feel welcomed. So that has been a big impact to us. We're getting people from college, from high school, like older women that are married with kids. They bring their kids, they bring their dogs. Now it's people you are a complete stranger with. So I felt that was really admiring to us because people want to join us and they don't know us. So that's what I kind of started seeing. We were making an impact and they just keep inviting their friends. So I'm thinking that must be something really good because, they want to keep coming.
Yeah, like she said, we see different age groups, like young girls like our age, or even some are younger, like some are barely getting out of high school. I know like my sister even has some of her students join her, which is really rewarding seeing that because, oh, she's fulfilling her PE teacher thing where we want to make sure the students enjoy fitness. For me, it's really rewarding seeing that my sister is doing that for her students and everyone else. But I think most importantly, like I've said, it's that community. Many of the people that have joined us, they'll be like, oh, like we like how you guys partner up with small businesses because we haven't heard about them. So in my eyes, I see it as not only are we helping them with their running journey, but we're also helping our local businesses, like, branch out, get to know each other, And I really do love that we're not only helping them, but we're helping our community. And then I wish I had that when I was starting my running journey. So I'm really grateful that I am able to give them as many tips as I can. That way they could, start somewhere. And just running together is my favorite thing because you could just talk to them and it feels like you could run as much as you can. Like last weekend, we did 10 miles and one of the ladies, she was like, this is the furthest I've ever ran. And I was so proud of her because when I got there, it was kind of rainy, cold, and I was like, oh, do I really want to do this?
And no one showed up for the first few minutes.
And they're already like, oh yeah, let's just go back home. And then she came and she was like, oh, I'm so excited. She's like, I've never ran this much. She's like, but I'm going to do my best. And just hearing her, she motivated me instead of me motivating her. So it's just so inspiring that, we're pushing people to their limits and they're able to accomplish their goals with us. Because she was saying, I've always wanted to run this much, but I'm scared to do it by myself. So I'm glad that I'm able to do it with you guys. Even though we're not always running together, at least we're like, okay, we know she's on the same trail. We could always go back, or we're waiting for each other at the finish line. So I really enjoy that. And at the finish line, when they cross, I'm always like, I'm so proud of you. So for me, it's just so rewarding just seeing that we're doing that.
And another thing is that we're more targeted to women, but we've had a few men show up and they have been great too. They're like, oh, I hope that you guys feel comfortable. We came because of this person. So I'm like, yeah, go for it. I feel comfortable that you're introducing yourself to me. You're not just here, being kind of weird. So we've had really good encounters with men joining us too and trying to find a space to where they could run and they don't feel, I think, a pressure as in I have to do this much. So that day that she had her long run, Yaneli did, we had two guys show up and they were like, we're so glad you guys do this because we find new trails that we didn't know of. So they were really excited too. And that made me, that they don't feel uncomfortable, that it's just us girls and that we make them feel comfortable as well. So that's something really nice too, that we hope we get more guys to come out and bring their friends. Because we're all the same. Again, we have the same goal as to just increase our fitness goals and our running and share the knowledge that we all have because we all share something different.
You've clearly created a community here in the Central Valley. And so I'd love to give you some time for you to share any upcoming events or things to look forward to, maybe social media handle.
So we post our monthly schedules on our Instagram every single month. And it's just Sisters Run Club with an underscore. We just go kind of month by month and we start planning weekend runs. So usually we have a run every Saturday or Sunday. Sometimes we take a weekend. Ideas come to us and, sometimes they're really fun themes that we run for. And other days it's just a little more simple, like let's go on a 3-mile run and that's it. But we have many social runs where we get to know each other. And those are the best because that's where you make your friends, and you just giving yourself that motivation. Good job. You did really good. And I'm glad I ran with you. We've made so much friends. So that's kind of how it starts. And Yaneli, I don't know if you want to go in more details.
So like she said, we have our social runs. And right now I am currently training for 2 full marathons. We've been trying to incorporate more of the long runs, which we've seen that is like something that people actually like. So I think we'll probably have that still in our schedule. We're doing like yoga and they're doing crafting. But the main purpose is we're giving a raffle because I'm doing the Chicago Marathon in October. So that's something big that's happening. So if you guys would like to donate or know of anyone, you guys could just send us a message on our Instagram, which is Sisters Run Club _
Yes.
Yes. I was like, we have so many accounts that we've had. So I'm like, which one? But yeah, you guys could message us always on there. And we try to stay super active, but like she said, sometimes life happens, and we're both teachers. She's a mom, so it's a little bit tricky, like, staying up to date with it. But we all do try to always post on there. And even if you guys message us, we might be a little bit late, but we will get to you. And one of us, so if you guys have questions about wanting to join us, you can just message us there. We always try to make it as clear as possible. Like most of the times we do like the sign up with the address that will take you straight there. But all of our runs are free, which is great because, it's sometimes you want to work out and the price will limit you. So the good thing about us is that we're free. And when we do work with other businesses, we always try to like get that small discount for you guys, and just make it fun. So I really do enjoy like working with the community. And I think we have in February also like a pedal and praise one. It says
22nd.
Yeah, the 22nd. And that one is also like a new
Business.
pedal place. Yeah, that's brand new in Merced. So we're excited about that if you guys would like to join us. And I know her business is also like mostly focused with women and also God. So I'm really excited for that one. And Lasley has already done, but
Incorporating something different.
yeah, also doing pedal. So I'm excited. And then our girls that are in the club always run on their own also. So they'll be like, oh, yeah, like if you guys want to come join us. So everything will always be on our Instagram.
Yeah. And then I'll just mention the last run of the month. That one's going to be super fun because it's called the Best Furry Friend Forever. So bringing your pet along with you. We've had a few come and join us, but this one we hope we get all of the pets involved and kind of start something new and see how that works out. So we're super excited about bringing our pets on our runs and just seeing how that goes. So that's on the 23rd.
I'm so excited for that one because I'm a new dog mom and I love taking my dog everywhere. I think that's the main purpose of our club, just letting the community know that you could bring your whole family. And it's like, we're so up for it. Like some of the girls have brought their moms, and that
Your
also,
dad.
yeah, that motivates them because coming from like a small, like especially us, I could see it like, when we invite her mom, she's like, okay, fine. And it takes time to convince her, but she'll sometimes go with us. And I think that's the main focus of our club also, just like making sure that everybody could come join.
We had our first Hispanic dad about 2 weeks ago. And that was so nice because it's really hard getting your dads out there, especially sometimes being Mexican, they're like all macho, like, no, I worked and I'm tired and that's my exercise. So seeing him, I'm like, I'm so proud of you ladies, brought your dad out here, showing him like what you're doing and like motivating him because he was running, he was doing so good. So like keep bringing him so he can inspire others because that's where it starts, like, oh, I saw he went, I should go too. So hopefully our dad could join us soon too.
I think we also had 2 girls bring her mom and she was talking about how she started running because she got ill, right, Lasley?
Yeah, she had multiple things going on with her. So she's decided to completely change her lifestyle. And she was the one getting her girls out there exercising. And they're like, oh, we found out about your club. So we decided to get into running. So they were there and, doing really good.
I've also seen that like it encourages people to be active. And sometimes you see these clubs, but in bigger cities. So I'm really glad that we decided to do this for our small little town. And we do try to branch out to the other communities like Atwater, Livingston. We've even gone to Turlock. So
that's the good thing about running, that it's becoming so much more popular, that other clubs are forming, different types of exercising clubs are forming. So we have done a collab with the 209 Run Club in Turlock. They're awesome. And we hope to do more with, I think Modesto has a few run clubs now, Madera, Fresno. So just getting together and expanding our communities, that like makes us really excited. So we hope soon
Yay.
we get
This
to
is
do that as well.
fantastic. I am so proud of both of you. It's pretty incredible what you are all doing and really the movement that you have created,
Thank
like
you.
literally the movement that you all have created. So thank you very much. I do have the run in my calendar, the one where you bring your pet. So I'll be bringing my pet as well.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us and sharing all that you do with the community. We do have a couple of last questions, and this relates to being children of immigrants. You mentioned that Leslie is a mom, and so it's really hard sometimes for both of you to navigate being on social media and instantly replying. And so we wanted to ask, as children of immigrants, what has been a challenge in building this community up? I know it hasn't been easy, and Andrea and I have always talked about how we always want to do this hobby, but it's so hard because whenever we want to go out, right, to swim, to run, we always have to check in first with family and ask them, do you need anything before, I take off and do this? So we wanted to get an insight if you could share how hard that has been for you.
Yeah, it's been very different now. I just recently got married. I just recently had a child, and I'm currently pregnant. So it's been kind of like a thousand things running on. And it's crazy because I still had to check in with my mom, and now even with my suegra, because it's not just me. It's like, oh, can you take care of my daughter so I could go on a run real quick? And, I know they care, but both sides have always been like, well, should you be running? You're pregnant, or like, it's really cold. You shouldn't wake up the baby, or don't take her out. It's really hot or really cold. And I'm like, no, she's fine. She's doing great. I have her snacks packed. I'm not paying for anything, and I'm not obligating anyone to be there because of me. So luckily they've kind of learned to understand and help me out. And I tell my mommy, like, Mom, this is something I really love to do, and I would appreciate it if you could help me. And if you can't, it's okay too. Luckily, I have my little sister. She helps out with taking care of the baby a lot. But it was really hard. Like, well, what about your husband? Did you cook for him? Is he okay with you going out? Like, is he okay with you being on social media and so much people being around you? What if there's guys? I'm like, he's okay, Mom. Don't worry about that. But it's just, all those thoughts that go through their mind, and, they start overthinking. Luckily, they've never brought it like, what are your tias going to say? But
Yeah.
it's always like that stuff that you kind of worry about. And it gets me thinking like, I have mom guilt a little bit because I left my daughter on a Saturday morning when I should have been with her. But no, I still get home and I still make her breakfast, and I'm still going to be her mom. It's just that I want to include those hobbies. And I told her I have to stay healthy for her and teach her that this is one way that you're going to stay healthy. And hopefully when she's better at running, she could come along with me too. So that was kind of a challenge, just getting, my new life incorporated into my new schedule as well with the run club. But luckily, everyone has been super supportive and now a lot more understanding.
For me, it's a little bit different because I don't have kids, but I think the challenge has been getting my mom to understand. She's like, you guys already do so much, like, and you guys are doing this and you don't get paid for it. Like, what do you gain out of it? So she sees it like that way, but it's like we try to tell her, we like running, so why aren't we gonna just do it and motivate other people? It's just been a little bit tricky to get her to understand we're not getting paid, but we're getting love from it. We're helping others. And right now I'm living like in 2 hours away. So it's been driving. Sometimes I'll wake up at 5 in the morning and drive to Atwater just to run. And she's like, you never rest, like you should rest. And I'm just like, I don't know, Mom. I like being on the go. And I feel like back in Merced, it's home. I love running with my sister. I love running with the new friends we've created. So to me, you know what? Yeah, I'm gonna be tired at the end of the day, but I'm gonna go because I like doing that. So it's just so rewarding to me being there. And not only that, but it's just when we tell her we're going to do this race, she's like, you guys are wasting money just to run. It's always like that money thing. But I'm going to be like first place or something one day. And then when we tell her, oh, mom, like, look, because for instance, one time me and my sister got second and third. So they were like, oh, congratulations. And I think it's showing our younger siblings, we're so old and we're still doing this. Like, like we want to motivate you guys to also do something because, like you said, we come from like a Hispanic household. So they are not also growing up with joining sports. Like, so we kind of have to be the big sisters and the PE sisters to be like with their little brother, especially like, don't be on video games. Like, come on, join a sport. So, and also teaching our parents, you need to incorporate that to their lives because we only live once and we need to be as healthy as possible, especially with their genetics. Sadly, they're not the best. So we need to stay active. So I think that's my main focus as the second daughters. And especially since I don't have kids yet, I want to help them and be like, hey, like, we need to worry about our health, try this and that. And I feel like I'm kind of the almond daughter. Like, have you guys heard of that term? Where I try to be as healthy as I can. But I think it's just I'm scared of everything that my family has. I don't want to get that. So I'm trying my best and I hope my younger siblings try to take that from both of us, that there's other stuff that they could do also.
Thank you so much for sharing. I think Andrea and I can definitely connect in that aspect where I also, whenever I try to working out, my mom's just like, why? Like, you're already skinny. And it's not about being skinny. It's about staying active. So thank you so much for sharing that. And I honestly would love to end this on a very positive note because you have done such an incredible job with our community and being able to motivate so many people. So we want to end this by giving you the space to just share what the best highlight has been of creating the Sister Run Club.
Well, I would say that, what really has helped me is that my only competition is myself to like always keep going, because everything else is just, something that if you let it affect you, it will affect you. If you let it stop you, it's going to stop you. So it all comes to yourself. And I would say that that kind of has really enlightened me and just helped me with the run club. The best part of the run club, I would say, is just getting together with the community, because we've met so much teachers, so much businesswomen, like a whole bunch of you guys, like I'm so happy you guys are doing this for our community too and sharing the knowledge of others. So I would say that that's the biggest highlight, that we're getting to learn from people everywhere and just growing, continuing growing, spreading the knowledge and others spreading knowledge to us. So I'm really proud of to say, like, Mom, I met two wonderful ladies that, have inspired us, and we got to share a little portion of our life with them too. So I think that would be, my biggest highlight.
I think mine would be saying that I did this with my sister because, like I said, we've always been doing everything together. So I don't want to cry. Just doing this together and sharing our goals with others is like what I love, and how we always stick together because we've gone through so much and it's always been me and her. And we do have my younger sister, but it's me and my sister. Like I said, we've been through so much together. So now, oh, we're doing something good and we're still doing it together. It just warms my heart. And knowing that I'm always going to have my sister, because now she's a mom. So now she has her own life. But this is like, it's me and her still, we're still doing what we love. And like she said, is sharing it with the community. I enjoy it so much because we meet other sisters just like us. Oh, it reminds me of her. And then we met some of the girls that tell us their story, and it just warms my heart. They're like, we have so much going on at home, but we love coming here. And it's like, oh, we're there like me time, and it's just so much fun. And I think my favorite memory was Friendsgiving with some of the girls that we've gotten so close to. And oh, we're like a little community. And yes, we love everyone in our club, but those have been the girls that have stuck with us, help us. We'll be like, hey, we're running late. Can you start the running club? And they're like, yeah, don't worry. So that just warms my heart that now I have new friends.
But the Yaneli, what you said of we are their me time, there's so much power to that. And not only are you all healing yourselves through your own journey and maybe the cycles or the thoughts that you all grew up with in terms of learning that, exercise is healthy and exercise is for us both mentally and physically. So I love that you are all, both of you are healing yourselves, and in that process, you are healing others. And lastly, for your baby, you are kind of breaking that generational cycle that maybe exercise um, is not maybe, but exercise is important for our well-being. And I love that we are teaching our parents as we go through it. So thank you both for everything that you do. I know that sometimes being from a Latinx community, a lot of the times our parents and our family members, their love language is actions, right? They will do things for us, but they won't necessarily tell us words of affirmation. So to both of you and anyone listening to our podcast, we are very proud of you. I'm very proud of you and everything that you have done. It's a big deal. And so I am sending you strength and power so that you can continue to lift up our community. Jack, I'll give it back to you.
Thank you. Likewise.
And thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you for sharing your story with us and for being transparent. And we hope that you felt this safe space being here with us today. And I hope our viewers get to join one of your runs soon. And again, if you're listening, if you're watching, tuning in, please feel free to share this and also follow the Sisters Run Club on Instagram at sisterrunclub_. And thank you again, Yaneli and Lasley, for being here with us today. We really appreciate you. We're proud of you. I echo everything Andrea has said. And thank you so much.
Thank you, ladies, as well, for allowing us to be on your platform and, getting that knowledge from you as well, sharing everything about our community, where we come from, everything. So I appreciate you, ladies.
Yes, thank you for having us, and thank you for allowing us to share our journey, because I feel like we haven't really talked much about it. So this is great for not only your viewers, but also our viewers to see where we come from and the why behind our club. And I just enjoy podcasts. So knowing that it's from our community, from local, is even more heartwarming. So thank you, girls.
Thank you.
I love the Sisters Run Club and everything that they have created. I felt all of their sabiduría through that segment. And so now I'd love to hear the sabiduría that you have, Prima. What are your palabras de sabiduría for today?
Yeah, of course. Well, being that we are a child of immigrants, my palabras de sabiduría are, we are here to stay. And this is to encourage everybody out there to take up space, not only be proud of your roots, but also within these hobbies. We are here to stay. If you join a hobby, you might feel uncomfortable at first, but that's also part of the challenge. But here, especially with our guest Sisters Run Club, I think they've all motivated us to stay a part of these hobbies and take up space. Invite your other friends to come and join so that, we can build up on that space. Estamos aquí, estamos presentes, nos vamos a ir. Échenle ganas.
I feel like that was a voicemail that my mom left me. So I may take a snippet of the recording, and any time that I need to hear it, I hear those words. Thank you, Prima. For me, I think that often we think of hobbies or anything that we do, right? It has to be productive, because a lot of the times that's the mindset that we grew up with, but it's okay to do things just because they make you happy. So today, my palabras de sabiduría are more of an affirmation. And so I'm going to say it in first person point of view, but I'd like for everyone to repeat it to themselves once I say it. So for me, it is my joy is my resistance. So Jack, your joy is your resistance, and our hobbies are our resistance. So we are here to stay. And with that, that concludes our episode for today. Prima, if folks want to follow us on social media, what does that look like?
You can follow us on Instagram at Ponle Acento Podcast. And if you have any suggestions, any feedback, or even any ideas, please feel free to email us at ponleacento.podcast@gmail.com. And of course, you can follow us on YouTube at Ponle Acento Podcast and on Spotify and any other platform where you listen in to our podcast.
Thank you, Prima. And as always, this podcast is brought to you by Andrea and Jack, is co-hosted, co-produced, and co-directed by both Primas, Andrea and Jack. The editing of the recorded content is usually done by me, but this time my prima, Jack, thank you, Jack, has really came through, and she has actually edited the majority of this recording. Social media and outreach is done by Jack. Research on discussed topics is done by both Primas, and sources can be found on our link tree. We aim to make our platform nonpartisan in the case that an opinion is expressed. That opinion belongs solely to the person who expressed it. For accessibility features on our podcast, please visit our YouTube channel for captions and script of the episode. And just like that, we are all done. Cuídense, amigos y amigas, or primos and primas. You belong, and I hope that you take all the space that you are able to take, because it is yours and nobody ever apologizes for taking up space, so you shouldn't either.
Love A and J.